This is a video on how to change your front disc and pads on your BMW E46. So before you jack the car up, make sure you loosen the wheels with a breaker bar. Then jack the car up and place your axle stands in a safe place. What I also do is place the wheels under the car, just in case your stands fail. There's less chance of you being crushed by the car. You always want to stay as safe as you can when working on cars, as they can be replaced and you can't. So firstly, before we start taking the caliper off, and take the retaining clip off here. So just get a screwdriver, put it in like that, keep your hand over it and release the clip. And you also need to take these covers off at the back. You'll have one cover here and then another one at the bottom. So next, what you want to do is get your 7mm Allen key, put it on the back of the caliper and undo the two sliders, one at the top, one at the bottom. And another one at the bottom. Next, what you want to do is get your screwdriver, and then between the caliper and the brake disc, you just want to lever the caliper piston back as far as you can. And you'll start seeing it go back. Once you've done that, you can now release the caliper like so, and you can either put it up here to keep it out of the way and keep the pressure off the brake line, or if it comes in the way, you can also cable tie it at the bottom. Next, what you need to do is remove the caliper carrier. So 16mm socket and a breaker bar. And crack them off. So before you remove the carrier, you want to make sure that you can undo this screw here, which is your disc retaining screw. So with a 6mm Allen key and a screwdriver to lock to stop the disc from turning, keep pressure on the ratchet and be able to remove the screw here, or at least crack it off. Otherwise, without the carrier, it will just spin. I've got electric gun. If you don't, you can just use a ratchet to take the carrier off. That's your carrier off. Remove the brake disc retaining screw all the way out. Now, if your car is old, like this one, the disc will be seized to the hub. So put a wheel bolt in by a few threads. Get your hammer, and you want to hit it as hard as you can. and the disc will free off from the hub. It might take a few attempts with the hammer. Take your wheel bolt out, and your disc is off. Right, so before you put the new disc on, you need to clean up all the rust that's on this mating surface here. If you don't clean it up and you put the new disc on, there's a chance the disc won't sit flush, which will cause it to warp over time. So you want to clean up all this rust and all this dirt to make sure the disc sits flush. So get your wire brush. As you can see, we've got the old disc here and the new one right next to it. You can see this one's a lot better condition as it's brand new. Right, the disc comes with a new screw. If it doesn't, you can reuse the old screw. Let's get your disc, line it up like so. Put your retaining screw in by a few threads. Tighten it up with your ratchet. You need to ensure disc is on flush all the way around the hub as you tighten it up. So keep pressure, even pressure on it as much as you can. And just nip it up. Don't have to go too tight with it. And just make sure that you can get through all the bolt holes and that it's sitting flush. Then want to get your carrier. Put the carrier back on. Line the carrier up to the back of the hub and put your screws in. Make sure you start them with by a few threads before either gunning them on or doing them up with a ratchet. If you have a torque wrench available, the torque setting for these bolts is 110. So set your torque wrench up. Make sure they click off. If you don't have a torque wrench available, make sure they're tight enough with a breaker bar. So before you fit the brake pads, you need to apply grease to the contact surfaces here and here, or it depends how you do it. I normally put it there, and across the sides, all the way around. I've got BMW grease here. You can use copper grease if this is not available for you. So you can get your inner pad, and you just push it into your caliper at the back here. Make sure it clips in and it's flush all the way around. Get your outer pad, put it in, get your whole carrier, push it over, lock the guide pins into place so it can stay there by itself. Get your 7mm Allen key,
onto the sliders at the back and start tightening them up. Make sure everything is tight before putting your protective caps back on. Like so. Then get your retaining clip, push it against the carrier, and then with 2 hands apply force to push the clip back into place. Make sure it seats correctly there, there and into there. Also give it a little tap, make sure it's seated correctly. Then what you need to do is double check all your work, make sure all the pads are in the right place, everything's seated correctly, and then pump the pedal up inside the car and then let the pads bed in for about 100 miles and you should be all good. Right, so now you join me on the left front. This is the old sensor, and if you follow the sensor back, it runs into this junction box here, over here. So what you need to do is pop it out of the box, and then you'll see 2 tabs on either side. Squeeze the tabs in to separate the sensor from the car, and then follow it and then unclip it and then replace it as you took it off. Right, so I've changed the pad sensor, it's clipped into the junction box. Follow it down, make sure it's clipped into all the right places, and then finally it clips into the inner pad like so.